Hi everyone, this is Ravi. Welcome to Katalon Studio Automation tutorial. As you all know, I've already published almost 34 YouTube videos covering beginners to the advanced level concepts. So I'm going to start publishing some more videos covering some advanced level topics, and this is our lesson 35. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you how can we generate manual test cases from Jira requirements with Power GPT by using the Katalon's manual test case generator. This lesson consists of three different chapters. In chapter 1, I'm going to teach you benefits of Katalon's manual test cases generator. This covers three different sections. In section 1, I'm going to tell you what are the test cases first of all. And then we are going to see what are the common challenges in creating manual test cases. Then what are the benefits of Katalon's manual test case generator. As part of chapter 2, I'm going to teach you what are the different preconditions to set up the manual test case generator and how can we set up the manual test case generator of Katalon. As part of this chapter, in the first section, I'm going to teach you how can we install plugin Katalon test automation for Jira from Atlassian Marketplace website. And in section 2, I'm going to teach you how can we enable TestOps Jira integration in Jira software. In section 3, I'm going to teach you how can we enable TestOps Jira integration in Katalon TestOps. As part of chapter 3, I'm going to teach you how to generate manual test cases from Jira and store them in Katalon by using Katalon manual test case generator. In this chapter, first I'm going to teach you how can we generate manual test cases from Jira requirements by using Katalon's manual test case generator, and then how can you store the generated manual tests in TestOps, and how can you edit the steps from TestOps, and then what are the different best practices, tips and tricks to use this feature effectively for the best outcome. So now let's start our session with the agenda items that we discussed just now.
This is our chapter 1 where we are going to learn the benefits of Katalon's manual test cases generator. So as part of section 1 in chapter 1, first let us understand what are test cases and what is the importance of creating manual test cases. So the test cases are an essential component of software development, ensuring that software meets quality standards, is free of bugs, and functions as intended. The test cases are a set of instructions and conditions used to validate that software functions as intended. Test cases are used by developers and testers of all levels from beginners to experienced professionals. So now we understand the importance of test cases, and the test design phase is a very important phase of your test lifecycle. In section 2, we are going to learn common challenges in creating manual test cases. So what are the common challenges in creating manual test cases? So our first challenge is limited resources. Why? Creating manual test cases can take up resources and can be a boring task. So which can be a bottleneck for teams who wish to start automation with limited resources. And our next challenge is inconsistency. So testers can interpret application requirements differently and use different techniques and principles to write test cases, which leads to inconsistent results. And our third challenge is difficult to cope with changes. So generally manual testing is not best option for applications that are intended for long term. So such applications may undergo a lot of updates and enhancements continuously. So having to check all these changes on every device repeatedly for the same and different releases each time, it is very tedious and time consuming writing manual test cases and performing manual testing. And what is our next challenge? So less test coverage. So errors that appear on a single platform can only be checked at a time. Quite often, manual testers may miss out on a few test cases, and this can affect the overall coverage of the tests. And next challenge is collaboration. So teams usually lack a platform for collaboration for both automation and manual testing. They usually use spreadsheets to write and store test cases, which can be hard to keep track of these test cases and to scale up essentially for complex applications and test scenarios. And our last challenge is increased cost, time, and resources. So the manual testing team must comprise a group of enduring testers. The manual testing approach can be quite repetitive, and the testers need to work under pressure to meet the delivery time. So this requires the participation of a large number of manual testers scrutinizing every feature of the application on each device it is intended to run with a great deal of attention. So these are all the challenges in creating manual test cases. In section 3, we are going to learn and discuss the benefits of Katalon's manual test case generator. So, what is our first benefit of Katalon's manual test case generator? Speed. As Katalon integrated the AI powered language and it is leveraging the chat GPT. So this Katalon's manual test case generator reduces manual efforts and time spent on creating and reviewing test cases by automating the process with advanced AI powered language. And the second benefit is improved accuracy. Katalon's manual test case generator mitigates human errors and enhances the precision of test cases developed by leveraging the semantic comprehension capabilities of your GPT. And third one is consistency. So Katalon's manual test case generator maintains consistency in test case structure, format, language throughout the project, ensuring easy to understand, well organized test documentation. And last benefit, enhanced collaboration. So Katalon's manual test case generator facilitates a better communication and cooperation among team members by enabling quick storing and sharing of generated test cases. How? Katalon TestOps provides a place to monitor, test planning, and manage both automated and manual tests. So, which means whatever the test cases generated by Katalon's manual test case generator, we are going to store them in TestOps, right? So these are all the different benefits of Katalon's manual test case generator. This brings us to the end of chapter 1. So now you are able to understand the benefits of Katalon's manual test case generator. Thank you. This is our chapter 2. In this chapter,
you're going to learn all the preconditions that are required to install and use Katalon's manual test case generator. And also you're going to learn how can you set up all these preconditions before you start using Katalon's manual test case generator. So this is our section 1 as part of chapter 2. So in this section you learn install plugin Katalon test automation for Jira from Atlassian Marketplace website in your Jira software. So what is the procedure to install plugin Katalon test automation for Jira? So if you see on the screen, in Jira, as I told you, you need to first install this plugin called Katalon test automation for Jira by using the link displaying on the screen. Okay, so by using this link, you can install the plugin related to Katalon test automation for Jira in your Jira software. Copy this URL, paste it in Chrome browser. So open the tab and paste the URL in the Chrome browser. So that will navigate you to the Atlassian Marketplace. So here, if you see, you need to log into Atlassian Marketplace to make sure that the add-in, whatever plugin you add, that goes to your Jira project. So now click on Get It Now. So as soon as you click on Get It Now, you'll be navigated to Manage Apps under Jira Service Management, right? So a pop-up will be appearing to install the plugin. So it gives you all the information related to Katalon test automation for Jira plugin. Okay, now you need to click on Get It Now. As soon as you click on Get It Now, then see your plugin is getting installed. Now it's done. You can see bottom Katalon test automation for Jira installed successfully. Now click on Manage App. Once you click on Manage App, you will be navigating to Jira under Manage Apps page, where you will see the plugin whatever you just now installed. Okay, so you can see the plugin. Now go to your Jira and select the project that you created. Okay, I created Katalon AI project and I have created a couple of user stories. So now open one user story. Now you should see a new button called Katalon manual tests. So this button will be using to generate the manual tests by using Katalon manual test generator. Okay, so because we installed the plugin, now in your Jira project, in any of the work item, either it might be user story, right, or defect, whatever the work item, you should see this Katalon manual test button so that you can generate the test cases automatically based on the requirement. Okay, so this is our section 1 of chapter 2. This is our section 2 of chapter 2. So in this section, you learn how can we enable TestOps Jira integration in your Jira software. So before we enabling TestOps Jira integration in Jira software, first let us understand what is this TestOps Jira integration. So when you configure your Katalon project in Jira, so the save to Katalon button is enabled as soon as you enable TestOps Jira integration. So by using this save to Katalon button in Jira, which allows you to save your generated test cases in Jira to your Katalon platform project. So basically whatever the test cases generated, right, in Jira, so those test cases can be saved to Katalon platform. Now let us understand the procedure to enable TestOps Jira integration in Jira software.
Okay, let's see step by step. First step, open your Jira project. Your Jira page name follows the following syntax, right? So let's go to Chrome and open Jira. This is my Jira, right? And I have created a project called Katalon AI. Select the project, and once that is done, what is our next step? Our next step is at the bottom of left panel, click project settings. Go back and scroll down, and this is your project settings option. Click on that, so which will land onto project settings page. And scroll down the left panel, select Katalon settings. The Katalon settings page appears. So now again you need to scroll down here. There you will find Katalon settings. Click on that, which takes you to the Katalon settings page, right? And what is our next step? Our next step is fill in the information as follows. Email, enter the email address you have registered for your Katalon account, and then you need to fill in API key. Enter TestOps API key. How to generate API key? Let me tell you later. Okay. First, enter email address, and now let's see the process to create API key. So you need to go to your TestOps first, right? And then go to user settings, and then go to Katalon API key module and click on create API key. So let me go back to my TestOps instance now. So this is my TestOps instance, and go to your profile first, and then click on user settings, and then you need to select Katalon API key, and here you need to click on create API key, and then provide the API key name so that you will remember forever. Okay, I'm providing a Jira-Katalon API key. Okay, and then click on create, and here this will generate a unique code API key. Copy that API key and go back to Jira software, right, and provide your API key, and then you need to click on fetch organizations. So this will fetch all the organizations of your TestOps. See, this fetched my organization. Let's go back to my TestOps and let me show you what is the organization, okay, in the TestOps. So if I click on TestOps, right, see this is my organization, ravikant.edmakanti. The same organization is fetched in Jira as well, right? And then you can select the project as well. So in my TestOps, I have two projects. The same projects it is showing here. Select first project and then save. So that will save your Katalon settings. That means now you have configured your Katalon settings in Jira Service Management. So this ends with our section 2 of our chapter 2. This is our section 3 of chapter 2. So in this section, you're going to learn how can you enable TestOps Jira integration in Katalon TestOps. So in section 2, I have covered enabling TestOps Jira integration in Jira software, whereas in section 3, I'm going to teach you how can you enable TestOps Jira integration in Katalon TestOps. So before we enable TestOps Jira integration in Katalon TestOps, let us first understand why do we need this plugin. So when you enable TestOps Jira integration in Katalon TestOps, whatever the generated test cases that you saved to Katalon platform in section 2, right, those are automatically can be linked back to their Jira requirements. So you understand the purpose of enabling TestOps Jira integration in Katalon TestOps. So now let us understand the procedure to enable TestOps Jira integration in Katalon TestOps. let's see step by step. Okay, first sign into Katalon TestOps and go to your project. The project dashboard page appears. So let's go to TestOps now. Okay, this is my TestOps and this is my organization. Let's select first project. Okay, this is one of the project in TestOps and this will be landing onto dashboard. And what is our next step? Select settings, integration. The integration page appears. There is a drop down menu on the page for full list of integration options. So now let's go to settings, right? Under settings, you should see integrations. Click on integrations tab where you will see all the integrations that are available, right? And what is our next step? Let's see what is our next step. Select Jira in drop down menu. The Jira page appears as below. So even though it is not drop down menu, you can just select Jira. Okay, this is my Jira integration. Here you need to provide some information. So what, because we are using Jira Cloud, I'm going to provide Jira URL in the form of your site name Atlassian.net. Okay, so let's go to my Jira. So this is my site name Atlassian.net, right? So let me copy till .net and then paste the URL in Katalon TestOps. And then let's go back to Katalon TestOps and paste the URL, right? Jira URL, and provide your username here. Okay, what is the username? This one, right? So this is my username for Jira software. So let's go to Jira TestOps and provide your username. And here you need to provide your API key. So now to create API key, you need to follow, basically enter the Atlassian Cloud API token, right? So to enter the Atlassian API token, you need to select the URL. Okay, so now let's copy the URL. So this is the URL that I showed you on the presentation. Now click on create API token and provide the label name as Katalon Jira and click on create. This will create your API token. And then copy this API token from Jira and paste it in Katalon TestOps, right? So let's go to Katalon TestOps and paste here. And then you need to click on test connection. This will establish the connection between TestOps and Jira. Okay, see, done, connected successfully. And you should see all the projects from your Jira here, right? So these are the projects, Katalon AI demo service projects. Let's go to Jira now and let me show you the projects. Okay, so these two projects you should see in Jira as well. See these two projects. That means the same projects are showing in Katalon TestOps. Select one project, Katalon AI, and click on save. So once you click on save, your settings will be saved. So that means we have enabled our TestOps Jira option in your TestOps. Okay, so this is our end of section 3 and this brings us to the end of chapter 2.
This is our chapter 3. In this chapter, you're going to learn how can we generate manual test cases from Jira and how can we store the generated manual test cases into Katalon. So this is our section 1 as part of chapter 3. So in this section, I'm going to teach you how can we generate manual test cases from Jira requirements. Let us see step-by-step procedure. Okay. The first step is you need to first create your Jira ticket with necessary details. So let me go to my Jira. So in Jira, I have created one project called Katalon AI. And here I want to create 2 new user stories or 2 new requirements. So let me create my first user story. My first user story is implement the login. So let's assume we don't have much details of the user story. The user story has a very basic summary called implement the login. Okay, let's create this. So you created this, right? The new user story or task called KA5 has been created with implement the login. And let me create another user story. So this time in this user story, I'm going to provide the description, right? And summary as well. So in the summary, I'm going to specify it as implement the registration flow. But how does this registration flow look like? So I'm going to provide in detail what is expected. Okay. So what I'm doing, I'm just copying the text that is available earlier. Okay. So I'm saying in the description, as a user, I want to have a registration page that contains the following: first name and last name, street field, city field, state field, username field, password hint, and submit button to finish the registration, right? I have provided detailed information for this requirement, right? Let's create this. So once you create the requirement, now you can see there are two requirements that got created in Jira, right? So now let's see what is our next step. Let us go back to presentation again. My next step is click the Katalon manual test case generator on the action menu bar as shown. Okay, so let us go back to Jira again. Now I want to generate test cases for my first user story, which has a very high level information. It does not have a detailed information. And see how does this Katalon manual test case generator works. So if you see here, as soon as you open your requirement, you can see a new button called Katalon Manual Test, because we have already installed the test case, Katalon Automation Test Case Generator plugin in section 2, right? So that's why you can see this. Okay, I opened that, and you need to click on Manual Test, Katalon Manual Test. Let's click on this button. As soon as you click on this button, now our next step is the generate manual test cases button is displayed. Click the generate manual test cases button. So as soon as I click on this, now I can see a new button called generate manual test cases, right? Now you need to click on generate manual test cases. As soon as you click on generate manual test cases, now the Katalon is working on creating the test cases. So now you can see here the Katalon created these many test cases. Just go through them. Verify successful login with valid credentials. Verify error message when entering invalid username. Verify error message when entering invalid password, right? Verify error message when leaving username field empty and leaving password field empty, correct? And if you see the steps also for one of the test case when entering invalid username, right? So it says enter invalid username, enter valid password, click on login button, verify error message. So it created all the test cases for the requirement, correct? So if you want to, if you don't satisfy with this, right, you can simply click on regenerate. So if you click on regenerate, again it is gonna regenerate the test cases. Okay, so in the backend it interacts with Power GPT, and then it it generates the test cases. So basically it is using the power of GPT. Okay, so that is done. So based on the description, whatever you provided, simply you just provided implement the login. So by interpreting that statement, it generated all these test cases, right? So let's keep this like this. Okay, now I want to go back to my second user story. Let's go this user story. Implement the registration flow. This has all the details, right? We provided, correct? Now here again, I want to generate the test cases for this user story. So as we followed earlier, click on Katalon manual test and then click on generate manual test cases. As soon as you click on generate manual test cases, it creates all the test cases by using the information that you provided in the user story. So now see here, it generated test case 1, verify all fields are present on registration page. See, based on the field names that you provided, it is searching for all fields. Verify successful registration with valid inputs. Verify error message is displayed when required fields are not filled. Verify error message is displayed when invalid inputs are entered. Right? It generated all these test cases. Let's say I'm not satisfied with the test cases. I felt like, okay, I missed something. What I can do, I can go back here. Let me do one thing. Instead of zip, I will say postal code. Let's say I want to specify postal code, right? Now save this user story, and now what you can do is you can clear this one, and the latest changes with postal code, I want to generate the test cases, right? Click on generate manual test. So now it's going to generate the manual test cases based on the modified user story. You can go back here again. So if you see here, it is now referring to postal code instead of zip, right? So you can generate the test cases n number of times by modifying your user story. Okay. So then what is our next step? Yeah, if you're not satisfied with the test cases, click clear, update your Jira ticket, and then click on generate manual test cases. That's what we just now looked into, right? So this is our end of section 1 as part of chapter 3. This is section 2 of chapter 3. In this section, you will learn how can we store all the test cases that we generated in section 1 into Katalon TestOps, and how can we edit the steps in Katalon TestOps. Let us see the step-by-step procedure. Follow 3 steps defined in section 1. So in section 1, we have already generated the manual test cases by using Katalon plugin, right? So these are all the test cases that we generated for one of the user story, correct? Which has a detailed explanation. Okay, let's take this example, implement the registration flow. Okay, we already generated them, right? And what is our next step? Our next step is, once you are satisfied with test case details and generated test steps, click save to Katalon to save your manual test cases in TestOps. So here, because I'm satisfied with all the test cases that are generated, now I want to save these test cases to Katalon, right? We are in Jira, correct? Now I want to save these test cases to Katalon. You need to click on save to Katalon button. As soon as you click on save to Katalon button, now see the test cases were saved. Access your saved test cases by navigating to Katalon platform section on right side. Okay, that's what the notification we got. Okay, now we saved it. And what is our next step? Your manual test cases are saved. View linked generated manual test cases in Jira. So now these whatever the test cases are generated, I want to view them in Jira. How can I view them? Okay, if you go right side, if you see here, how many test cases are generated? Total 4, correct? Total 4 test cases are generated. So now if you see on right side, for the user story, if you see, those test cases are already linked
to this user story. The user story implement the registration flow. You can click on these 4 items and this will open all the details of your user story. So let's go back to our PPT. See here, view saved generated manual test cases in Katalon platform. So when I click on the link, it opened your model, right? Where you can see all the test cases, all four test cases. Invalid input, right? Required fields missing. So I can see now. Now let's say I want to see all these test cases in Katalon TestOps. All you need to do is click on view details. As soon as you click on view details, it will take you to the TestOps. Okay, so let's, in the TestOps you need to go to tests. Okay, basically you will be navigating to tests, and from tests you will be navigating to test cases. Under test cases you have to go to upload data and you have to go to test cases. Under test cases you have a manual, right? Under manual, if you see my requirement, what is my requirement? My requirement is KA6, correct? That is my task. So you should find the folder that is created with your user name, user story ID, correct? Under this, see, these are the test cases. It created a folder with timestamp, and following are the 4 test cases that we generated in Jira, correct? These are the 4 test cases: verify error message, invalid inputs, verify error message, when required fields are not filled, right? So all these, verify error message, invalid inputs, required fields are not filled, right? You can see all 4 test cases in your Katalon TestOps, right? So then what is our next step? View linked Jira requirements in Katalon platform. Now see, now I can see all the linked test cases in Jira user story, and whatever the test cases generated I can see in Katalon platform. Now if I open this test case, right, I want to see these test cases are related to which user story. So for that you need to scroll down in Katalon TestOps and you should see the linked Jira user story. So you can see the linked Jira user story in Katalon TestOps for each and every test case. If you click on this, it will take you to the Jira user story, right? So how powerful it is, right? How powerful these plugins are. Okay, all the test cases generated in Jira can be saved into Katalon TestOps, and all the test cases that are saved in Katalon TestOps have the linked requirements of Jira. And also let me tell you another last step: edit the test tips that of your generated manual test cases. So you can just simply go back to your TestOps, right? Open any one of the test case and you can simply edit these. Basically you can edit the steps. You can edit the steps. Let's say I want to edit something here and then save them, and your test case is modified and the same test case is still mapped to your Jira requirement. And this brings us to the end of section 2 as part of chapter 3. This is section 3 of chapter 3. So in this section you learn the best practices, tips and tricks to use this feature effectively for the best outcome. So what are the best practices? So generally the Katalon manual test cases generator processes your input and automatically generates the test steps based on the provided instructions. So that is why when you are creating your Jira ticket, fill in the necessary details such as the test case name, description and any other required fields. So in your Jira title and description, you need to provide clear and concise information to describe the purpose and steps of the test case. So because of the detailed explanation that you are providing in the ticket, the Katalon manual test case generator generates a very good test cases, and the test case coverage will be very good. And if you are not satisfied with the test cases, you can basically clear the test cases and then you can update your Jira ticket and then click on generate manual test cases button again. So these are all the best practices that you can follow in generating the manual test cases by using Katalon manual test cases generator. This brings us to the end of chapter 3.